In this video, we will see how we can store numerical values in array lists. If you recall, when we created array lists, we said that array lists can only store object references. So if you try to create an array list, for example, array list called names equals new array list, we had to specify the data type that we are taking in here inside diamond brackets. So I want to create an array list of strings, and in here I'm also specifying that type. So this type that we are assigning to the array list has to be an object reference. I'm getting this red line because I have to import the java.util package. So once I import it, I will not have this error. So the string is an object reference, and that's the only type of data that we are allowed to store in array lists, which is an object reference. Now, if we try to use one of the primitive data types like int, we will be getting this error, which tells me that we cannot use primitive data types inside our array list. So to overcome this, we can use the wrapper classes, which are objects of the primitive data type. So instead of using int, we can use integer, and that will allow me to use or to create an array list of integers. So let's change the name of this list to call it numbers. And if I want to add values to this array list, I can use the array list name dot and then add. Now notice the add will take an integer value of the type integer object. So if I click on here, I will need to pass an integer object. To pass an integer object, we can use the new keyword and create an object of the class integer, and we can pass the integer value that we want to add in here. If I want to retrieve the value, I can go and print it out. For example, system.out.print, and I can get the name or the number, so numbers.get, and then pass the index of the number that I want to retrieve, which is at location 0 in here. So let's run and see what we print. We are printing the value 10. Now, another way to do it is instead of creating a new object, we can utilize the auto-boxing feature available in Java. So remember, if you are using an integer value, a primitive integer value, in a context that expects an object, Java will automatically auto-box that integer primitive value into an integer object. So here I'm adding an integer primitive type inside an array list that accepts an integer object. So Java will auto-box that value directly into the numbers list. So if we run it, we will also not have any problems in here. Now, when we are retrieving the number here, numbers.getZero, we are getting back an object of the type integer. Now, if I'm using it in a context that is expecting a primitive data type, Java will automatically unbox that value to a primitive value. So it will unbox the object integer and convert it into an integer primitive type, and we can use it in this equation. So that will add 10 to 5, and that will produce 15 as we see in here.